Welcome to Mr. Tim Hillmer, a dedicated board member of New Horizons House. Tim's unwavering support is a pillar of strength for NHH, an organization founded by Jonathan Spencer in 2012 after discovering the harsh reality of modern-day slavery. Following a daring undercover rescue operation in India, NHH was established with a mission to provide comprehensive rehabilitation services to girls rescued from human trafficking and sexual abuse. Tim and the NHH board have since built vital partnerships and a state-of-the-art aftercare facility in India, offering a lifeline to survivors. The team's commitment shines brightly in a country where millions endure the horrors of the commercial sex trade, particularly young girls from vulnerable backgrounds. Please join us in welcoming Mr. Tim Hillmer as he shares his invaluable insights and experiences.
I'm going to refer to some note cards because what I'm going to talk about, I think it's really important that I talk about it in the right way. First of all, though, I just want to explain that, so my name is Tim, and I serve on the board for New Horizons House International. I'm not the president or anything. I'll talk about him in a minute. I'm a retired public school teacher, and I taught for like 32 years in the schools. So when I look out, I'm used to dealing with 7th graders, so you're an easy audience. And I live just up the road in Louisville, so it's kind of an easy drive to get here. I'm primarily here, though, in some ways, as a husband. My wife and I have been married for 39 years, and I think often about what her life would be like if she lived in a different part of the world. I have 2 daughters who are both teachers. I often think a lot about what their lives would be like if they lived in a different part of the world. And then I'm also a teacher, and I've worked with, I'm going to need those. Yeah. I think a lot about what the girls that I've taught and the teachers that I've worked with and mentored, what their lives would be like in a different part of the world. So anyway, New Horizons House International is a Colorado-based nonprofit that's built a holistic aftercare facility in southern India for 65 girls and young women ages 12 to 21 who've been rescued from sex trafficking by the Indian police and brought to us through the Child Welfare Committee, or the CWC. And I'm going to be really honest with you today. There is no way that I can fully explain the complexity of what New Horizons House is doing to combat trafficking in 15 minutes. No way. But I'm going to do my best to provide an overview of our organization, our mission, as well as bring the stories and the experiences of the girls into this presentation. They are the heart of the work that I do, part of the work that all of us do on the board. I'm also going to tell a story, and I'm going to read some poetry, because I'm also a writer and a poet. India is at the epicenter of human trafficking in the world, in many ways. 20% of the trafficked are under the age of 16. And most of these underage victims come from lower caste families. Many are trafficked by their own families and family members due to poverty. The girls often come to us without education or vocational skills, and even when rescued, many of them will return to the sex trade in order to survive. So one thing I want you to remember is that poverty and lack of education will often drive the trafficking industry, and that's something we're trying to address. New Horizons House was founded by John Spencer in 2012. John lives near Denver in Sedalia, and he's been one of my closest friends for the last 46 years. We actually met in Estes Park. Our MC, I believe, lives there. John started New Horizons after traveling to India, learning more about trafficking in the process, and then actually participating in a sting operation where a 12-year-old girl was rescued after being sold by a family member to an undercover police officer. So we established our residential facility in the southern state of Andhra Pradesh in India. There's a picture of our facility, and it's currently providing comprehensive rehabilitative services to 65 girls ages 12 to 21. And later you can ask me a question about why it's only 65 girls, and I'll be glad to answer that. There we provide trauma counseling, medical care, college education or vocational training they can choose, food and clothing, and maybe most importantly, a safe and secure place to live. And that's something we really kind of pride ourselves in. So I'm going to pause for a minute. Maybe you didn't come here expecting to hear poetry, but I'm going to read one to you. In 2018, John, our founder, and I visited India to attend the dedication ceremony for New Horizons House. When we were dedicating the facility, we had a large event. Community members were there, government officials, lots of people. And while we were there, we got a chance to tour this beautiful facility, which is located in a mango grove, in a very isolated setting, which is a good thing for the girls that live there. And I wrote a poem while I was visiting and touring the facility and seeing what a beautiful construction this was and a beautiful setting. And the poem's called A New Horizon. And I read it at the dedication ceremony, and it was translated by somebody there. And the poem was written as a welcome poem to the girls that I knew would be arriving soon to stay at our home. A new horizon. Even now you travel to us, our daughters, our sisters, some hidden, some voiceless, some homeless. You are warriors, your souls unbroken, your spirits resilient and fierce as you trek through jungle and field and open highway, pulled along by the slender possibility of shelter. Even now you travel to us, through shadow country, your hopes laced with dreams of mango orchards, of a shaded road protected by sturdy fencing and impenetrable brick, of a home where scarlet butterflies flicker across pure white tile, where bedrooms are sealed behind doors of burnished teak. No hand or hammer or hatred shall break this seal, these vows we make to you, our lost daughters, our lost sisters, so far from safety. Even now you travel to us over rough paths which intersect, the way streams bleed into one river flowing south to Podu. Even now you travel to us and hold one another close, providing breath when needed, clinging hand to hand when necessary, and thrusting your heads high above the drowning, above the roar. And when you finally arrive, we shall be waiting with gifts, a fresh mango, and garlands of rose and lily and chrysanthemums. We shall say, please step inside this sanctuary of forgiveness, which is now yours. And know this to be true. You have found your way by following the beacon of your hearts at last to home. So along with the safe house, which I showed you the picture of, which is located in a very remote village called Podu, we also have a transition home for the young women when they turn 18, and they're required by the government to leave the safe house facility. And this transition home is located in a much bigger town called Hillmer, which is about 45 minutes away from Podu, where the safe house is. Many of these girls, when they turn 18 and they have to leave our safe house, they can't return to their families, who often have trafficked them. They can't return to their villages, many times because of shame, etc. So we created a safe house, a transition home, where they can continue their transition to independence and independent living. So I'm going to start showing you some pictures, though, so you can kind of visualize some of the girls that live at the safe house. So the slides that I'm going to show you will show them living at the transition home. These girls are all 18, young women, who are all 18 or older, and they're either receiving vocational training, where they get courses in like tailoring, cooking, sewing, etc., or they're attending classes at the nearby Browning Junior College. And there they can take courses in nursing, information technology, small business ownership, etc. And again, the transition home, just so you're clear, it's in a different city than the safe house. They're very separate. And we like the fact that at the transition home, when the girls are in that larger city, it helps them begin to see what they're going to need to do to be able to live independently or with, a minimum of support. So these are, I'm going to go back one real quick. So we created a marketing training center for the girls, and these are the transition house girls, where they can sell handmade goods they've created, they can sell food that they've created and cooked, and they've got this stall where people will come by and they can sell things and work on their marketing skills. These are some of the girls at their stall. You can see the purses and things lined up in the front. And these were taken last November when John and I were both there visiting. And the girls were very excited about selling and working their business skills here. These are 4 of the girls in the transition home in one of the study halls. We provide house mothers for them, we provide tutors, and also security. So even in the transition home, it's a very secure place for them. These are actually some of the girls at the safe house. And in between classes, they'll go out into the courtyard, which is in the outside and under the mango trees, play games, just kind of have fun together. You can't see it at the bottom, but this is one of the science labs at Browning Junior College. This is a nursing class, and they're doing an experiment. This is some of the vocational training courses. This is where they learn to sew. If you look at the back wall of that far right picture, you can see some of the items that they've made. They're making quilts, they're making dresses. The work they're doing is just beautiful, the embroidery and everything. I was blown away by it. And I don't know if you can see that picture because the light's too bright. This was a picture of one of our yearly celebrations, usually during the holidays. They're holding up candles, etc. And I'm just going to keep that image up there because I've got a few more things to share with you before I close about our organization. And I'd just like to maybe visualize the girls at the home. And just a little more information. We're in the middle of a capital campaign right now to raise money to buy land and build a larger transition home for these girls. We're going to need to raise about $330,000 by June of 2024. You're welcome to visit our website at www.newhorizonshouse.org to learn more about how to donate. We also have a fundraiser April 11th this spring in Denver. And if you're interested, we'd love for you to attend. And if you go to our website, we spend a lot of time on it. You can read stories about the girls and young women at New Horizons House. You can watch videos that we created about our mission and the facility. You can meet our board members, and you can educate yourself about human trafficking. So we really try to make sure that our website is very versatile in that way. So I have 2 more things I'd like to share with you. You can tell I'm a teacher. I like to read. This is a story about a young woman named Sujata. And I think it's important that I share this with you about an individual story of transformation. That's not her real name, it's a pseudonym. I met her when I visited New Horizons in India last November with my friend John. And our director at New Horizons House, an amazing woman named Esther Medidi, shared a lot of personal information about Sujata with me because we were talking as teachers. Esther's a teacher, I'm a teacher, and how much patience and love and care and support the girls need because of what they've been through and what we're hoping they can go to. And I'm sharing her story with you so you might better understand the complex and harrowing journey of a trafficking survivor. Sujata's mother died from jaundice when she was a child. She had an older brother and sister, but both were married and had their own families. When Sujata was 7, there was a family dispute, and her father was murdered by a relative. She loved her father deeply and denied his passing for many months. After his death, she was sent to live in a hospital, but later ran away and returned to her village. She sometimes lived with her brother or her sister or even her aunt, and she would work in the fields and then give that money to her family. Despite her small contribution, her relatives would often brutally beat her for making mistakes in their households. Sujata loved one of her uncles who lived nearby and thought she could trust him, but he sexually abused her many times. For a short period, she worked at a wine shop where she met a boy named Bougie, who spoke sweet words to her, and he would take her into the lonely fields, and unfortunately, he would also abuse her. After a few months, Bougie stopped speaking to her and cut off all relations. Sujata's family found out about the abuse and filed a case against him at the police station. Bougie was later kept in a prison, and Sujata was sent to New Horizons House by the Child Welfare Committee in January of 2021. When she first arrived at New Horizons, her condition was both emotionally and physically damaged. She would sit alone and cry for hours. She had not bathed in weeks, and her hair had gone uncombed for many months. Her clothing was torn and tattered, yet she refused to wear the new dresses provided by the staff. She didn't know how to read or write and was unwilling to sit in the primary classes with the younger girls. During her first 2 months, Sujata attempted to run away numerous times, and would use abusive language towards the staff and the other girls when they would try to support her. She would spend most of her time in silence in front of the television, and some of the girls thought she was insane. For the next 8 months, Sujatha refused to visit the hospital for her checkups and was unwilling to submit to routine blood tests. She was terrified when any males were around, even the security guards. Gradually, the love and patient care of the staff brought change. Sujatha learned basic hygiene, started combing her hair, and began wearing the new clothes provided by the safe house. After a year, she finally agreed to have a blood test and to receive her necessary vaccinations. She stopped cursing at the staff and learned to respect those within her community. She also began cooperating with the nurse and started taking her medications. She learned to read and write, and also saw the benefits of working with the trauma counselors provided by the New Horizons staff. In 2022, Sujatha turned 18, and the Child Welfare Committee wanted her to leave the safe house due to her age. The staff contacted Sujatha's remaining relatives, informed them of the CWC decision, but no one came to accept her. She didn't have any place to go. Esther, our director, subsequently offered her a place at the New Horizons transition home. She was overjoyed and thankful for this opportunity, and once there, Sujatha started to learn tailoring, sari works, where she designed women's garments, and even began cleaning the transition home to earn some income. New Horizons House then offered Sujatha a part-time job as a janitor while she continued her education. And even though she's understandably haunted and still traumatized by events from her past, she is healing now and has a home and family at New Horizons House where she is loved and appreciated for her resilience and for her courage. And every time a girl comes to the home that she's interviewed, a report is kind of written up about her past. And I wanted to share that story because it isn't just about what happened during the past, it's what's happening now. And I believe that our home is providing the kind of support and care she needs. I'm going to close with one last poem. This poem can be found on our website at www.newhorizonshouse.org. And I wrote it after meeting with many of the girls and young women during our last visit to India in November. It's an attempt to understand their individual journeys to our home and to help others understand the courage and risk they take and how this can bond them as sisters. This is called The Source, and it's dedicated for the sisters of New Horizons. There is a river within each of you, as timeless as mountain and ocean and pure as early snow in a season of fire. The only clear guide to locate the source of this river are the ancient stories passed on by other sisters who have traveled the path and found their way home. Begin by looking inward, past skin and muscle and flesh, past ghosts that offer nothing but venom and curses and shadow. Walk on with your sister, and remember when you first stepped into sunlight and smiled at its bright arc. When you first touched water and felt it ripple across your fingertips. When you first smelled rain and then waited for its grand arrival. When you first tasted mango and closed your eyes to savor the enduring sweetness. When you first embraced another and felt that warmth returned. When you first silently prayed for answers to the mystery of tears. Now, clasp your sister's hand and pull close as you follow the path of those who came before you and resisted the fate of a windowless cell. Those who fought against the forced entry, the savage intrusion, then refused to obey the rules of the night. Look for your sister's footprints in the soil, a thread of cloth lingering on a branch, the faint scent of incense and sweat, followed by the distant glow of a lamp beyond the acacia branches. Then trace the curve of trail and road to the source of that river, the heart, where you love and forgive and find shelter, no matter the storm, no matter the crossing, no matter the divide. Stay close to that river within each of you and climb to the source where your sisters await in a circle of welcome.